Hi, Zachy. Hi. We're at Grandma and Grandpa's 45th bell renewal. Right? We're in the church. It's a beautiful day. Father Tom Arneo is here. We're gonna have so much fun, right? Dun 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 dun. Hello.
Oh, look how nice you look. This is the one.
Yeah.
You got it fixed.
Yeah. There you go. It's taping.
Hi.
Say hello.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. End the video. End the video. Say bye bye, Colson. Okay.
Julie, go with Grandma. You must have me.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Donna and Nick, I take this opportunity to welcome you and to thank you for joining together today for such a wonderful celebration. 45 years. It's truly remarkable. And as some of you know, my other job, in addition to being pastor, I work in the tribunal and granting annulments. So when I see a marriage that has not only lasted, but has thrived for 45 years, it's a great joy and pleasure for me. So at this time, I'm going to ask you to remain seated, and I'm going to ask that you simply join with me, closing your eyes for 1 second. We ask God's blessing upon all of us for this day, and especially upon Donna. Almighty and ever-loving God, we, your family, gather here today to pour out our gifts of thanks, our words of thanks, our gratitude for Donna and Nick, and for the love that not only have they shared with each other, but have shared with us these 45 years. Bless them now and forever, and us all as we join with them in celebration. In Christ our Lord. Amen. At this time, Colson, I'm going to ask you to come forward to do our first reading. like to invite Donna and the next 4 children to come forward for the responsibilities.
The response is, I will bless the Lord at all times.
I will bless the
Lord at all times. I will bless the Lord at all times. Praise of him is always in my mouth. In the Lord my soul shall make its boast. The humble shall hear and be glad. I will bless the Lord at all times.
Glorify the Lord with me. Together let us praise his name. I sought the Lord and he answered me. From all my terrors he set me free. I will bless the Lord at all times. Look toward him and be radiant. Let your faces not be abashed. This lowly one called, the Lord heard, and rescued him from all his distress. I will bless the Lord at all times. I had to do that. The angel of the Lord is encamped around those who fear him to rescue them. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Bless the man who seeks refuge in him. I will bless the Lord at all times.
I'd like to invite the second reader to come forward. Pam Blank.
A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Romans. I urge you, brothers and sisters, and by the mercies of God, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God, your spiritual worship. Do not conform yourselves to this age, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and pleasing and perfect. Let love be sincere. Hate what is evil. Hold on to what is good. Love one another with mutual affection. Anticipate one another in showing honor. Do not grow slack in zeal. Be fervent in spirit, serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope, endure in affliction, persevere in prayer, contribute to the needs of the holy ones, exercise hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Have the same regard for one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Do not be wise in your own estimation. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be concerned for what is noble in the sight of all. If possible, on your part, live at peace with all. The word of God.
I'd like to invite you to please stand. The Lord be with you. Our proclamation is from the Holy Gospel according to St. John. Jesus said to his disciples, "As the Father loves me, so I love you. Remain in my love. You will remain in my love if you keep my commandments, just as I have kept my Father's commandments, and so remain in his love. All of this I tell you, that my joy may be yours, and that your joy may be complete. This is my commandment to men and to women for all time. Love one another as I, your Lord God, have first loved you." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Please be seated for a moment. I was thinking about what to say, and there were certainly many, many things that came to mind. But as you might imagine, what would an Italian who wakes up in the morning and as part of his early morning prayers before he even gets out of bed says grace before meals speak about? You're right, lasagna. There are two ways of making lasagna. One is a very, very thorough, thoughtful, comprehensive, and yet absolutely delicious way. You start with tomatoes, preferably from San Marzano, which are pureed and blended. You have sauteed your garlic in just the finest virgin olive oil. You wait, not too dark, not too brown, but just enough. Then you pour in the pureed tomatoes, stir. For some, you add some sugar, fresh basil from the garden, which has been washed thoroughly. You let simmer for a while, and then you cover partially so that the sauce can reach just not only optimum temperature, but optimum viscosity. It'll be delicious, like tasting something right off the vine. In the meantime, on the other pot, you've got going the boiling water, which has been salted. Your lasagna noodles are cooking, and they're getting ready to be taken from the water, where they can then be drained on either what was sometimes referred to as a mopine, or a dish towel, or paper towels. And then, of course, the wonderful mixture of ricotta cheese that's blended with Roman locatelli, perhaps some eggs, some fresh Italian parsley that's chopped fine. And then, in my family, we also included on the side some very, very, very small meatballs that took approximately 3 days to prepare because they had to be just the right size, and some sausage that had been cooked and now chopped very finely. And then the process of construction that would rival the construction of the Great Pyramid in Egypt begins. And it's sauce and pasta, and then the ricotta cheese mixture, and then the meat on top, and then another layer, etc. Sauce. And when you finish, it should be about this time. It has to set for a while. It goes in the oven. And then, when it's finished, it's also taken out and allowed to set for a while. No one wants to rush a good thing, and no one wants to overdo the lasagna. It can be very temperamental. But when you finish, you have a culinary wonder, and it's absolutely delicious. Now, there is another way. You can rush into Stop and Shop on your way home from work, go to the frozen food aisle, and see if you can find Stouffer's in there. If you have any luck, maybe Mama Celeste has put one out. And you can go home, and you take it out, and you pop it in the microwave on 10, 5 minutes, and hope that it has thawed out and it's not going to be too soupy, and there you go. Synthetic lasagna. It seems to me that as there are two ways to prepare that delicious meal, there are probably two ways to do anything and everything in life. There's a way that is easy and simple. There's a way that takes very, very little time, very little effort, very little thought. And then there's another way, a way that takes a lot of conscious thought, a way that takes deliberation, a way that takes care and tenderness, a way that's done perhaps out of love for other people because you see this is going to be given to them as a gift, whether it be a meal or something that you build or something that you construct. And when you pause and when you think about the two ways to do anything, I think you would join with me in realizing and recognizing the first way is always the preferable way. The first way is always the nicer way. The first way is always the richer way. I say that to you because I think there are two ways in which we can live life. And as a priest for 37 years, I have witnessed people who have lived each day authentically, genuinely, lovingly, and caringly. And some people who read each day and go through life as if it's very broken, very mechanical. And what we have is perhaps a life that's lived on the surface and in a shallow way. Then there are people who are kind, who are reflective, who commit themselves to something important every day. Family, spouse, work, whatever it happens to be. Most importantly, God. And at periodic times in their lives, or perhaps intermittently, people pause that they might celebrate with them wonderful occasions, having lived life to a certain point, so truly, so genuinely, so authentically. And I think that speaks to and about you, Donna, and about you, Nick. You have chosen to marry, or you chose to marry 45 years ago. And marriage is something that requires your choice and your heart and the wholeness of your personhood every single day. that you choose one another every single day, and you have. There are some days where it might have been easier than others, but nonetheless, every single day, you chose the other. And after 45 years, you're left with the figurative, extraordinary lasagna. You certainly had a wonderful start. I believe you went to Renewal College, Mr. Nick, BC, and your eyes met at Katie's or Caddy's Barn up in Boston. KKK's, okay? And it was love at first sight. And from there, there was no stopping it. It's also interesting that Donna, were always something of a teacher. You were a marvelous teacher at Holy Child. But even before that, you used to do Mr. Nick's English papers. Yeah. I wonder what your students would think about that if they had known that years ago when you were in the classroom, admonishing them if they copied each other's homework. You fell in love and you married, and you lived in Kentucky for a short period of time. You were probably the only two Italians in the state. But you also embarked upon many travels, whether it be Hawaii for your honeymoon, or Mexico, or Branson, Missouri, and even as recent as Vegas, where you had a wonderful, wonderful time. But better than any trip you ever took was the journey of life you went and took as you left the church the day that you were married. And I have no doubt that the 4 children that you brought into the world were brought in with great love. And you have 3 sons-in-law and a daughter-in-law and 9 beautiful grandchildren. And the love that brought you together 45 years ago is a love that has not only sustained you, but a love that you've shared with all of them to give them those same virtues and those same gifts. And it's a wonderful thing. It's great when people pass things on. So often when people speak about passing something on to future generations, they speak about something perhaps that they have invented. And in your case, Mr. Nick, that might be an apple picker for the days that you went to the orchard. But even more than a piece of jewelry, even more than an invention of your hands, is the lesson or the lessons of life and love, of loyalty and honesty, of taking care of each other that you give to one another. And you've certainly given to your children countless memories. I think it was Marissa who was graduating, and the project was to build a deck, which I think was completed about 15 minutes before the first guest got there. Your love for travel you shared with your children. I think it was Mr. Nick and Mari who attended school in Washington. So there were lots of visits to Washington, but it would end after Mari, I believe. Apparently after Nick and Mari, Michaela and Marissa were banned from going to school in Washington, D.C. There were visits to preserves, animal preserves, and Mr. Nick, sometimes you were a funny guy without even meaning to be. Like when the giraffe licked your arm from the wrist all the way down to your armpit. No one told you their tongue is 2 feet long. But the love that blessed you 45 years ago is that love that you have shared so abundantly. As I mentioned, 4 children, a daughter-in-law and 3 sons-in-law. You have Aiden, a.k.a. Little Tom 1, and Colson, a.k.a. Little Tom 2, Talon and Aislinn, Sabrina and Ara and Juliana, Matthew, who in a real way is a bit of a miracle. You know, I remember visiting him at the NICU, and to see him now when you carried him in, I wondered, just for a moment, David, you looked as though your back was hurting. He's gotten big, he's a big boy, but it's wonderful because I remember the day you got married right here in this place, and I think you were a little nervous, Michaela. You didn't want to let go of your flowers. I tried to take them from you. No, you wouldn't let it go. Okay, you hold on to them. But the gift of grandchildren who obviously adore you and whom you adore, and I think that's a wonderful thing, that you can be counted on always to babysit grandchildren, to listen to problems, to hug and to embrace, to encourage, to pray for, and to always, always, always teach your children the value, and your in-laws and your grandchildren, the value of God and the power of that love that you've lived, that love that has sustained you, and that love that will continue in your hearts for years to come. And I think that for me at least, one of the most wonderful things was I happened to have known you in all the good times, and I remember a wonderful lobster dinner in your backyard that summer. That was wonderful. I remember the whole midnight. But I also remember when Nick had that challenge, that health challenge, and how the whole family came together, especially you, Donna, and and how you have always been there for one another in this day and age. And truly are, and your marriage truly is a sign of the way God loves his church, with fidelity and constancy and care. Donna and Nick, I'm going to ask you to stand up. Young Tom, number one. Amy, could you come out there and just help me move the chairs away from you? Nana or Grandpa, are you ready? Just maybe move Grandpa's chair over there. Thank you. Perfect. Take your grandfather's chair. Now, Melissa and Mari were kind enough to forward me the vows that you apparently spoke on your wedding day. So I'm going to ask that you turn and face each other. Please join your right hand. And renew the love of the vows of love that you gave surrounding your God. I, Donna, take you, Nick, to be my husband. Myself and all I have, I share with you. With my heart, it is you I love. From this day on, in days of joy and sorrow, in sickness and health, in poverty and plenty, until death parts us, I shall cherish you before God and this community. I promise. That was it. Those are the words. I, Nick, take you, Donna, to be my wife. Myself and all I have, I share with you. With my heart, it is you I love. From this day on, in days of joy and sorrow, in sickness and health, in poverty and plenty, until death parts us, I shall cherish you before God and this family. I promise. You have declared once again your love for each other and the promise of fidelity and the acceptance of the gifts that God has given you, children, in-laws, and grandchildren, who God joined together 45 years ago. May He continue to bless and sustain even to this day. Donna and Nick, 45 years ago, with the rings that you wear on your finger, circle one another's hand with a sign of love. The circle has no beginning and no end, so may your love and care for each other always be. Now what I'm going to do is I would like to invite all grandchildren come forward, whole family, who can come around you. That you look at me and recognize. Sabrina, you say this to Grandma. Okay, Aria, you're over here. Okay, Mr. Nick, you and AC. Okay, Zach, come on. Kaylin, come on up. Liz, Dave, everyone, come on up.
Sorry for the shaky camera work.
Now, everybody who pray for Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad, just have close to you. May Almighty God, with His word and blessing, unite your hearts in the never-ending bond of your love for each other. May your children stand beside you and your grandchildren. Be always your first, most important, and precious of gifts. May the peace of Christ live in your heart and your home. May you have this family to stand by you in times of joy and sorrow. May the blessings promised to those who are compassionate and those in abundance. May you find happiness and satisfaction in your work. May daily problems give a closure of your anxiety. May the desire for earthly possessions never dominate your life. kiss your beautiful bride. Wait, all kids come back, all kids come back. Alan, Mario, Juliana. Good.
Let's eat. Let's eat. Let's eat.
Like
taught
father, like
her.
daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. Just four
The whole
mini
family.
yous just running around.
Whole family knows it's inherent. It's DNA.
Hi, baby. Yeah.
Can we take a picture? Miss, you want to take a picture?
Yeah.
Callan, come on, baby. Are you doing a big family? Yeah. Come with mommy, and then we're going to go in the car, okay?
Hi, Nick and Donna. Hey, it was an honor back in 1974 to be the best man at your wedding. And it's an honor today, a mere 45 years later, to say happy anniversary and really well done. You have a beautiful marriage. You've raised a wonderful family. I love all your children. And what an accomplishment to also have 9 grandchildren at your beck and call. So not only do I say well done, but also to keep pressing on. You know, there's a scripture that refers to not growing weary in doing well. And so that's a little message today that I would share. You know, we talk about it in our own family, not to check out, but to keep pressing on, to do the good work of raising a family, of being like caretakers and overseers and nurturers to your grandchildren, but really to continue to be best friends to one another and to enjoy these years that you have kind of after a lot of the hard work that you've done. So God bless. Happy anniversary. And give each other a kiss. I love you. And hi, Cynthia, as a fellow video romancer. Okay. Love you all. Blessings to your whole family. checking out. See you later. Bye.
Hey Don and Ned, Nick. In honor of your 45th anniversary, I thought I'd take a ride by St. Mary's Church at sunset and reflect on the past 45 years in your marriage. I certainly have many memories of the time you spent getting ready for the wedding. I remember you sitting in your rocking chair, Donna, knitting your wedding gown. I remember you sitting at the sewing machine, sewing all the bridesmaids' gowns, and I remember you making your own wedding favors. And I also remember you reading the last chapter in the do-it-yourself wedding trilogy. And of course the wedding itself, it was beautiful. People still talk about what a lovely event it was, and the reception especially. Such a fun time. I remember all the people who were there who unfortunately may not be with us now. Beto, Michael, Sonny, and Fredo. It was a beautiful reception. So, on a serious note, congratulations on your anniversary. Certainly, you and Nick are probably the two most giving and compassionate and generous people I know. And your union and your children and their children have enriched the lives of many people, and certainly have enriched the lives of those of us here in Rhode Island. So congratulations again. I think, as Mom would say, you and Nick are amazing. What a dynamo. So here's to 45 more, or maybe we'll discuss that. Love you.